Ready? Well, first of all, everyone knows the significance of the July 4th holiday. It's to commemorate the signing of the Declaration of Independence. But what people don't actually know is it actually wasn't read to the people until a couple of days later. We celebrate today anyway. And the other part people don't realize is a document in the National Archives that is autographed and signed by everyone that wasn't actually signed on July 4th. They actually made a commemorative copy later to show to the masses. So today we shall read the Declaration of Independence. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to this separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, driving their just powers to the extent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. God bless America. And institute new governments, laying its foundation of such principles, and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable, and to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under the absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient suffering of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter the form and systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny of these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused to assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation, till his assent should be obtained, and when suspended, it's utterly neglected to attend to them. That's the Second Amendment right there. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish their rights of representatives in the legislature, a right estimable to them and formal to the tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of the public record, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly, proposing with manly firmness his invasions of the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large to exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the repopulation of these states for the purposes of obstructing the laws of the naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others condition of migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of land. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount of payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and to eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislator. He has affected to render the military independent of the superior civil powers. He has combined with others subjected to a jurisdiction far from constitutionally unacknowledged by laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial and punishment for many murders which they shall commit on behalf of us, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing tax on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefit of trial by jury, and for transporting us beyond seas to try to defend the defense, for abolishing the free system of English laws in the neighboring provinces, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rules in these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing the most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for all of us in case of earth. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the highest seas, to bear arms against their country, to become the executioner of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages, who know in rules of warfare as an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble, terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Now have we been wanting in attention to our British brethren, we have warned them from time to time of attempt by the legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We've reminded them of the circumstances of emigration settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity. And we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow the usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connection and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in this necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the supreme judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the states of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. And that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all the acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honors. God bless America. Oh, please. Any questions?